If you transcend your physical nature, there is no such thing as time.
Time is a very difficult thing to pin down. There's a famous saying of St. Augustine of Hippo, that when he was asked, "What is time?" he said, "I know what it is, but when you ask me, I don't." And yet it seems absolutely fundamental to our life. Time is money, we say. I don't have enough time. Time flies, time drags. And I think we should go into the question of what this is, because in our ordinary common sense, we think of time as a one-way motion from the past, through the present, and on into the future.
Time is a consequence. Time is not a factor by itself. Time is a consequence of cyclical movements in the physical reality. We know time. If the earth spins once, we say it's a day. If the moon goes around us, we say it's a month. If the earth goes around the sun, we say it's a year. Our idea of time has come essentially because of the cyclical movements of everything that's physical around us. This is the nature of physicality. Physicality is essentially cyclical, whether it's atomic or cosmic, everything is cyclical. The moment you're identified with physical nature, time is a big factor. If you dissociate yourself with your physical nature, if you sit here and if you have a little space between you and your physical body, because what you call as my body is an accumulated process. It is something that you accumulated, it's just a piece of the planet. If a little space comes between you and your body, suddenly time is not a factor.
Now, I think one of the conventions by which we tend to be fooled more than almost any other is time. And for all human beings, time is a matter of extraordinary importance. And perhaps this is one of the principal ways in which we differ from animals. Because man has been called a time-binding animal. That is to say, a creature who is vividly aware of the fact that his life moves, as it were, along a line from the past through the present and into the future. Animals apparently live pretty much moment by moment. They don't appear to have very strong memories, but because man has a strong memory, he is able to bear the past in mind and, as it were, cast it forward into visions of the future based upon what has happened in the past. And therefore, although this facility gives man the most extraordinary ability to plan his life, to prepare for future eventualities, at the same time there is a very heavy price which he pays for it, and especially if he takes this ability too seriously. In other words, if he doesn't realize that the true reality in which he lives is the present moment now.
See, this moment is eternity, I want you to know. It's question of, are you living in the surface or do you have a profound experience of what's now?
We take as the basic supposition, which is the thing that one sees in the experience of Satori or awakening or whatever you want to call it, that this now moment in which I'm talking and you're listening is eternity.
What you think is past, what you think is future, or what you think is now, is all one happening. They are not three different happenings. They are not three different dimensions or three different geographical spaces that you can go into and come back. When you use the word travel, it suggests movement, isn't it? I travel from point A to point B. I can't travel from point A to point A, point A to point A, point A to point A. I cannot travel unless I'm making rounds.
Obviously, we think of time as linear, day after day after day after day, going along in a line. Or sometimes we like to think of time as this sort of line, going up and up and up and up and up and up and getting better and better and better. But that's not the fundamental idea of time for almost any people in the world outside of Western civilization. In nearly every other part of the world, time is thought of as a circle.
So right now, when you say past, present and future, you're talking about AAA. Understand? It's AAA, it's not ABC. When we say time, in the yogic perception, which ultimately modern physics will come to someday, hopefully, is time is the basic aspect of creation. Because of time, there is gravity. Because of gravity, everything else. Right now, the problem with modern physics is they have reasonably understood the other forces, they're unable to understand what's gravity. Gravity is a consequence of time. It's not the other way round. Because there is time, there is gravity. The word time itself may not conjure that image in your mind. The Sanskrit word is correct, it's kala. Kala means two things, time and emptiness. Kali, I'm not talking about the Devi. Kali means what? Empty. Kala means darkness, kala means time, and it also means emptiness. If you try to speak with little more personified context, we will call this Shiva. So we are talking about time and emptiness, time and nothingness as the same thing. Because there is time, there is creation. Because what we call as creation exists, there is gravity, because to maintain the integrity of a little bit of physicality in this vast kala, you need some force to hold it together. So, gravity is only when time bends in a certain way. Time which is nothingness, time which is emptiness, takes a curve. When it takes a curve, physical dimension begins. If it doesn't take a curve, physical does not exist. So when we say spiritual process, you're trying to get out of the curve, because whatever curves ultimately will go in circles, isn't it? So because you experience time as a consequence of the curve that it took, you're understanding time as the spin of the planet, as the rotation of the moon and the sun and whatever else. But when we refer to kala, we are talking about time in a more fundamental way, that it is emptiness, it is nothingness, it is clear space is time. We are always… the modern concept is talking about time and space as two different things. We are talking about time and space as one thing. The existential is gravity. The non-existential presence that is there is kala or kali or emptiness or time or whatever you want to call it, or darkness. All these things symbolize the same thing. So if somebody travels in time, he's lost his mind. Really. I know books are written about it. Don't ever believe. Please, I want you to understand. You throw up a new concept. Let's say a scientific community throws up a new concept, or philosophically some new concept comes. Instantly, there will be 100 authors in America. First 80 will come from America, next 10 will come from India maybe these days. They will write books about how they experience this concept which may not even exist. Powerful books will be written. and one generation will grow up on that and it will die. Next generation has not even heard about what the books that were popular in 70s and 80s, this generation has not even heard about those things which shaped those people's psyche completely. So this time travel business, this near-death stuff that's going on, these are popular subjects right now. I would advise you write a book. You'll sell well, make money, it's all right. If it's your survival, write something. But if you're seeking, don't bullshit yourself into something and you'll get lost. Don't do time travel, because you cannot do time travel. Time as you know it only exists because of your physical nature. If you really want to know the profoundness of time, if you want to know the kala which holds everything together, which holds everything in its lap, you must distance yourself from your physical nature. Then you know kala not as three, but three A's superimposed on each other, not A, B, C. So then you will not try to travel, you will dimensional shifts within yourself, not psychological understanding of time. What happened yesterday is one time, what's happening now is another time, what may happen tomorrow is another time, not in that context. They are not three separate things. Actually, what happened yesterday, if you sit here and imagine all that, it'll all happen now, isn't it? Yes? What may happen tomorrow, if you sit here and if you have powerful enough imagination, it'll happen right now. This is why people are suffering something that happened 10 years ago and something that may happen day after tomorrow. Yes, they're enjoying and suffering things which don't exist. So, if you try to do time travel, you will lose your mind and think you're experiencing something. Psychological drama that you create in the form of thought and emotion is not life. It is a badly directed movie.
We have any number of people, this may be very difficult for a Western audience to digest, but I have seen yogis who have not moved from the place they were sitting for over 6 months, 7 months, just in the same place. By any normal standards, your body should not survive that. But once they sit down, they won't move, just like that, not moving at all. Because once you distance yourself from your physiological process, time is not a factor. Right now you're sitting here, it's not your watch which is keeping the time, it's your body. If I make you sit here for 3 hours, your body says it's enough. But suppose you did not have a body, we are going to sit here for 3,000 years, what's the problem? So essentially, because of your rooting in your physical platform, which you call as the body, which you built over a period of time, from the accumulations that you gathered from this planet, that is the basis of experience of time. If you distance yourself from that, there is no consequence of time on you.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And that you could, for example, have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time, or any length of time you wanted to have. And you would naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you could conceive. And after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure each, you would say, well, that was pretty great. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control. Well, something is going to happen to me that I don't know what it's going to be. And you would dig that and come out of that and say, wow, that was a close shave, wasn't it? And then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now. You would dream the dream of living the life that you are actually living today.
That would be within the infinite multiplicity of choices you would have, of playing that you weren't God. Because the whole nature of the Godhead, according to this idea, is to play that he's not. The first thing he says to himself is, man, get lost. Because he gives himself away. The nature of love is self-abandonment, not clinging to oneself. Throwing yourself out, as in, for example, in basketball, you're always getting rid of the ball. You say to the other fellow, have a ball. See? And that keeps things moving. That's the nature of life. So in this idea, then, everybody is fundamentally the ultimate reality. Not God in a politically kingly sense, but God in the sense of being the self, the deep down basic whatever there is. And you're all that, only you're pretending you're not.